All good.
So, how have you been, Brian?
I've been terrific, man. How about you? It's the draft happened since we were here.
Draft hockey, playoff
Can you
hockey?
imagine being a douchebag who goes to the Buccaneers draft party, sits there all fucking night long,
And then
just
they-
for
and then
them to
they traded?
trade out of the first round?
That would be
You know what?
pretty-
That's
pretty bad.
there's an old Italian word for that, and it's called futada.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it pretty much means fuck off. It serves you right.
Is that,
You got what you deserved.
is that pretty much,
It's a Sicilian word, I believe.
did Dan tell you about that?
No, my mom's Sicilian.
Well, let's take our first call. 561. 561?
Hey, your audio on BAR is shit. Can't even hear you.
The BAR audio shit?
Yeah.
Well, Lummy's our technical guy today.
Yes,
So.
I will, I will
know.
go look at that.
It came in good. You had the badass beat going, and then just shit. Couldn't even hear it. Got my all the way up. Can't hear it.
All right, I will take a look at it right now. Brian can always hold it down and
Of
talk
course,
everything there
of
is to know
course.
about every sports. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
No
All
problem.
right.
You gonna go
Love
take a
you
little
guys.
look, see,
Bye.
Lum?
Yeah, Brian, you got it. I know
I
you
got
do.
this. Yeah. So right now, Real Madrid versus Man City in the second leg of their UEFA Champions League semifinal. Winner to play Liverpool. If Man City can keep it 0-0, they will advance. If they give up a goal, I believe they lose on scoring aggregate. Road goals is a tiebreaker, I think. Anyways, back to the draft. I just couldn't imagine sitting there for 4 hours for waiting for the Buccaneers to make their pick. And then the time comes and they're like, hey, come back tomorrow and we'll actually make our first pick. But getting into the ultimate picks that they made, great job getting Logan Hall. It is a position area of need, and Ndamukong Suh is still not signed. I think he's probably wanting a little more money than he is worth on the open market right now, which would explain why he isn't signed, because he certainly, I think, wants to keep playing, but the Bucs haven't signed him, and no other team apparently has, as he is a free agent. And then obviously another question mark was the departure of Ali Marpet and having to fill his role. And they did that promptly with their second pick in the draft, Luke Gedke out of Central Michigan, a good get-it guard, ready to play pretty much from day one. So they'll get him into the mix there, and he'll finish off their offensive line, either being a starter or their sixth guy, like Stinney has been in the past. And, overall, good draft for the Bucs. No first-round pick, but they essentially got a guy who's right there at first-round talent. Got an extra pick out of the whole deal. So overall, I'm happy with their draft. The one obvious head-scratcher is the punter in round 4.
In Georgia.
If you're going to take a punter, you take the kid from San Diego State, I believe it was.
Yeah, who has the highest, 50 something?
51.2 yards. Now, one of the knocks against him was that he did not kick for coverage very well. He had a very quick kicking motion, and so blockers and gunners had a difficult time getting down the field on some of his punts. Also, he didn't have the best placement in terms of goal line, coffin corner type placement, whereas the kid from Georgia had a little bit better. But you can't, his 51.2 yard average was skewed because he had 2 punts that went over 80 yards.
Yeah, they hit the turf and just bounced.
So, you taking 60 yards off of his average. I mean, if he punted the ball 80 times in the season, which is probably a lot. He probably punted 60 times. That adds an entire yard, just from those 2 long punts, to his overall average. But still, anything north of 47, 48 yards on a punt is exceptional. Plus, the kid even though he's left-footed, the kid from San Diego State also was their place kicker and was decent at that. So the good news for the Bucs, when you have a punter like that, you could have put him in the game when and if your place kicker, your normal place kicker, got hurt, and so you wouldn't be in a position where you'd have to go for it on fourth downs or put in somebody who's not a kicker at all to try and attempt those kicks. So that's my one big question mark. The other one on the Bucs, and we'll see what you think on this, Lummy, is Kieft, the tight end out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Nobody was drafting him. Nobody was going to draft him. So why use a pick on him when you could get him as an unrestricted, undrafted free agent? I don't understand that so much. These late round picks are where you find your special team and practice squad guys typically. So I don't know why you reach on a guy who I think was rated somewhere around number 500.
Yeah, he was
in the draft
very
pool.
far down, but they must have seen something with him.
But again, what did they think was going to, like, did they think there was going to be a run on tight ends in round number 7 and they were going to lose out on this kid? I just don't get it. You've already drafted Cade Otton, great pick as pick 1 in the first round. Awesome. Probably one of the best overall tight ends available in this draft, and you got him in the 4th round. So kudos to the Bucs on that. But I don't understand the Kieft, and not that it's the end of the world. It's a 6th round pick. Those are, again, depth pieces and positional pieces, and I understand you draft for need. But man, they must have seen something exceptional with him that nobody else in the world saw. I mean, it does appear like he could be a good blocker. He's not going to catch jack shit. And he's a large tight end. Did you see how big he is?
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah. So it's essentially like having another offensive lineman potentially. And if you're looking to protect Brady, maybe that's the thought process there. But yeah, I don't quite get that one. I think it was a bit of a reach.
Let's run through these real quick. Make sure the audio is fixed. 727.
Oh, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, how's it going? 727.
Yeah, buddy. So I was wondering what you guys thought about the Dolphins draft. You guys were talking about it a little bit earlier, like maybe it was yesterday, but kind of like
audio
the
works,
different
Brian.
sources that gave like the NFL like report cards for the draft, and sources had different stuff. And,
Yeah,
like one had like the Miami Dolphins at like a C, and then I see a lot of the other reports have them at like an A+ and everything, and
it all depends on it.
I mean,
because you've seen the Packers have an A, and then some people have it at Packers have a C.
Oh no, the Packers get an A+.
Like
Packers did awesome.
But there's other sites.
I mean,
yeah,
but here's the thing: it's all in
people.
how guys rate. So there's different ways of grading drafts. If you're going to grade drafts based upon total prospects, I mean, obviously the Dolphins had no chance. They didn't have the draft pick capital to qualify for that. But if you're
we just gave a lot of our stuff away to get some major weapons.
But you didn't have the capital into the draft. That's the thing.
I think you guys had 5 picks.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 5 picks and 2 third rounds and the rest were late picks. I mean, they had a third.
It was 1 third round, 2 fourths, and 1 7th.
Right. So
4 picks or so.
So you got to look at it, and when you're so to me, if I'm judging a team's draft, I'm looking at what their areas of needs were going into the draft, what draft capital they had to use, and how they address those needs, and are they coming out a better team following the draft than they were going into the draft. And if you look at Miami's needs, arguably offensive line was one of them.
Yeah.
They did not address that at all. Linebacker was one. They got a linebacker. They got a decent linebacker, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. So Channing Tindall from Georgia, he's awesome, and his highlights look great. And then here's what really messes with my head, because I'm a diehard Dolphins fan, man. So like, we didn't address any of the offensive line issue. I mean, yes, we got one of the guys, like I've talked to you guys about this before, the guy from the Cowboys, and then the guy from the Saints or the Ravens or whatever. But why the hell do we just got Tyreek Hill, we got the long guy to replace Parker from the Cowboys, and we still have Jalen Waddle, who's going to blow up. Why do we get Eric?
Ezekakama? Yeah.
Azukanama.
From Texas Tech.
Yeah, but like, why? I was confused about that one. And then we pick up, I think, Cam Good I think he's another linebacker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but,
he's an outside linebacker.
Yeah, and then our last pick, which this one was really bizarre, but I'm a little bit excited about this one, was the Skylar Thompson,
Kansas State
quarterback for Kansas
State.
Well, I'd be excited too if you were bringing in anybody to compete with a dead weight Tua, but
especially a 7th round.
I'm
pick.
telling you right now, this guy ain't it.
Hear me
I don't
out,
know why
though.
you're excited about him.
Well, because I'll tell you. So Tom Brady. Okay, everyone's gonna say, "Oh yeah, Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick," and blah blah blah. But like, I actually went and did the research and watched some of the highlights from this guy, and I mean, he's kind of like a Josh Allen. He's real big. He's not afraid to run the ball. He's got a deep arm. So I don't know.
He's not real big. He's 6'2", 217. He has
Really?
8 and 5/8 inches hands. That is way undersized for the NFL in gripping the ball. He's going to be 25 years old when the season starts, which is super fucking old for a rookie.
Dude, I didn't know this stuff. This is why you guys are on point with that, because I did not know that.
Yeah, no, and I'm not sitting here saying I advanced scouted Skylar Thompson, but I'm reading the notes on him here.
He had some big wins against big colleges, but obviously that's in college.
That's the thing. I mean, there's some things about him that are good, but again, he's a depth piece. He is, somebody who could maybe go in there and manage a game if you ran into some serious injuries. And he's a practice squad guy, right? So you're going to put him there and potentially and have him sitting there and trying to learn and see. But I don't see much for him. Miami's draft overall, other than the Channing Tindall pick, I am not thrilled if I'm a Miami Dolphin fan with what they use their capital on.
I could personally agree with the C grade, to be honest with you, because, I mean, yeah, we got a line, but like, no one ever, dude, this has been our problem for a long time. We've never addressed our offensive line in the drafts, and we've never ever addressed getting a running back.
Well, you did. You traded away Jeremy Tunzel, so you had one, and you got rid of him.
Well, then your running back is Edmonds, right? Is it Edmonds?
Yes, from the Cardinals.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, you guys signed a running back. No, but and he's not bad.
Tyndall, I would give the Tyndall pick for round and position and need. I'd give that one an A. The other picks, I mean, I'm giving the Dolphins a D. Quite honestly, they didn't address their needs well enough.
That's fair.
The Tyndall pick is a home run to me where they had it now. But that's overall looking at their draft needs and the positions of need. I'm not going to knock them for taking a flyer on a project quarterback in the 7th round. What I will say, though, is that you could have signed him as an undrafted free agent. So why bother using that when you could get a position where you could hit on somebody as a scratch-off ticket on a position where you have real need? I mean, Tua is your starter. You've made that clear. You've gotten rid of a coach over him. You
have a good backup, though.
Yeah.
Two-glove Teddy.
Yeah.
Little Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah.
But that's that's what I don't get.
But you know what? To be honest with you guys, honestly, like, even though we have a cool backup, like, doesn't that kind of suck and hurt a little bit? Like, your team, you want, like, your starting quarterback to be good, and then, like, he kind of, like, fluffs it up a little bit, and they have to put the second, like, don't get me wrong, I love Fitzpatrick, but like, I still was kind of pissed when they were pulling Tua out after, like, the first and second quarter and putting in, Fitzpatrick.
Because Brian Flores did not like Tua.
Brian Flores was trying to win.
Yeah,
I mean, is a head coach supposed to sit there and just take his lumps and can't throw a pass more than 7 yards down the fucking field because Tua's not capable of it in his rookie year? Should he be out there trying to win ball games?
He put him in the game. He didn't like what he saw in the first half. And so he went with Fitzpatrick. He wanted to extend the field, change up the game plan. And a lot of those games, I think they won. I think they went 5-1 with them or something like that.
Yeah, no, dude, that's the thing. And that's the thing. When they were kicking ass, the freaking famous Fitzpatrick got his face mask pulled, and then he threw that bomb to freaking Hollins, who they gave away, call him Big Fro. And then they went ahead to kick the field goal to win the game. Then all of a sudden, Tua's, feeling better, and then they just keep putting Tua back. And like me and the rest of the Dolphins fans are kind of like, just keep Fitzy in.
Yeah, but guess what?
But
Talk to your owner, talk to the GM, because I guarantee they were telling Flores, put Tua back in. He's our quarterback. Put him back in, which is why Flores was so unhappy.
Well, thanks for the call, and good luck to your Dolphins. We'll see how it all pans out. All right, we got
843 was 843 was, and then I think one was our USFL expert.
Oh, USFL Brandon was calling in?
Yeah, I believe he was on there. Oh, there's 843.
And it pains me to say this, and we'll go to the call real quick.
843?
Hey, it's good. It's Sean from Charleston.
Hey, what's up, Sean from Charleston?
What's up, Lummy, man? I just want to tell you guys you're doing a great job. Love you, love Brian. I know he doesn't like to hear that, but I love him anyways. I'm marking out.
I don't mind a good mark out. Now, as long as it's well deserved. Now, what are you calling in for, sir?
I'm just saying good job for the show. Just got off work. Go New England. I'm a Patriots fan, but live in South Carolina. So.
Let's talk about New England for a second. Did you follow their draft? It was interesting, as it always is with New England.
UT Chattanooga, first round.
I mean,
I like the guard. I don't care.
Well, I mean, look, there's some people that are coming out and saying the Jets have passed.
What about
Patriots.
reaching for Bailey Zappi in the fourth round when you could get him in the 6th or 7th round? I mean, that's the type of stuff that I don't get. Like Pierre Strong, I'm fine with. He'll be a good back. The small schools, I like it. Marcus Jones, cornerback, not a bad pick. Tyquan Thornton, good wide receiver pick. That's fine. That Cole Strange, a little strange, right? I think there were better guards. But look, if Belichick's got his guy, but that Zappe one is a head scratcher. Yeah, but and maybe Sam Roberts as well, the D tackle out of Northwest Missouri State University.
It looks like Bill Belichick is trying to outsmart everybody by picking up all these small school guys, and like if they pan out, then he can say, "Well, look, I'm the GM now, and so I'm."
Yeah, it didn't seem like the best, but who knows? The proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens with the Patriots, but I thought it was an interesting draft for them.
It really was.
All right,
man.
Well,
thanks, man. Thanks for
the love,
Charleston.
and good luck to your Pats.
All right, man. Nothing but love.
See you, man.
Later.
Yeah, the Pats. Bill Belichick, I think his ego is blown up a little too high. Because isn't he like the tight end coach, the special teams coach, the defense coordinator, the GM? Calling offensive plays.
They better figure shit out. I mean, they're going to have a tough time with the Bills in there looking solid.
I mean, everyone was sucking the Jets off for their good draft.
It's okay.
I know, it's a draft.
Okay. Hold on. That's not even that it's a draft. You give me 3 fucking first-round picks and the number 4 in round 2. So I get 5 of the first 36 picks, and you don't think I could have a good draft? I mean, come on. It's not. That's what I'm saying. You got to grade relative to the circumstances.
Wayne Pierce, 200 stars.
Of course, yeah. They got a lot of good players. Of course they fucking did. They had all the picks. So I will say this. Garrett Wilson, probably the best wide receiver available. They got him at number 10. Sauce Gardner, definitely the best cornerback available. They got him at number 4.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson, the second. Arguably the second best defensive end available.
That was a good pickup. I think
it's a great pickup at number 26, especially with Hutchinson and the other kid going,
1 and 2
earlier.
Yeah.
So great to get Jermaine Johnson. I mean, those are good picks. But he also, Jermaine Johnson fell to them.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, they traded up to. They traded up for that pick. I believe.
No, they did. They did.
Tennessee.
But I'm saying is a lot of teams had to blow it.
Yeah.
or not have need, right? That's the other thing is like, great job stealing that that tight end in round number 3. But they'll say that, but is it really stealing if other teams don't need that position that are drafting in front of you, or have already addressed that position that are drafting in front of you? Are you really stealing a player at that point? Are you doing anything, or is just everybody else not doing it? Breece Hall though is good pickup at with number 36 as well, best running back available in the draft. So they got arguably the best corner, the best wide receiver, the second best D end, and the best running back with their first 5 picks. First 4 picks.
I mean, I think it goes along your lines with the Lions. Obviously, they had the 2 first-round picks. I thought they had a good draft, but I think another team that had a good draft, and maybe one of the best, was the Ravens.
Yeah, and it was going to pain me to say it.
I know.
I had to text
Little Purple Jersey, and I said, wow, Ravens had a good draft.
No, and again, it's one of those things with people fall into him. Kyle Hamilton fell because some teams were worried that he was a little too slow. And so he dropped, even though he was projected to be a top 10, he dropped. So that worked out really well for the Ravens. Linderbaum, very good center available.
He's a good offensive lineman.
Very good center available for them who can also play guard if they need him to.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. Ojabo, they're taking a chance. But you want to talk about the guy, an edge rusher with the highest ceiling in the entire draft of any player. He's a redshirt sophomore. This kid is raw and talented. Now, how much of his success was playing with Hutchinson, we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
And also, how can he come back from a gruesome Achilles injury? But it was great value to pick him there. I don't blame him, especially with the number of draft picks that they had available to take him when they did. So, no, it was a good draft for them. And then they went with more system guys. I think,
You can see they like the Big Ten and the Big 12.
Isaiah Likely from the tight end from Coastal Carolina. We'll see how he works out. But then Demarion Williams, the cornerback pick, and then the other one was that I thought was a bit of a reach for them. But we'll
another punter from Penn State, round 4. Go shuck yourself, $20 super chat.
Yeah, the punter, do you really need to? Here's the problem I have with the Ravens, though, and why I won't give them an A in the draft. I thought they did very well, but I'm actually going to give them a B. Have you looked at their fucking wide receiver roster? Have you looked at their wide receiver room?
Yeah, didn't they just trade one?
That's how they got into they traded Marquise Brown, which, okay, I get that. A.J. Brown got traded. And what did the Tennessee promptly do after trading A.J. Brown? They drafted his replacement.
Yep.
They used the 18th pick to pick up a top 6 wide receiver in this draft.
Did the Ravens forget that?
The Ravens apparently think that they're okay with their wide receiver room, which is, when I say thin, is a understatement. Go ahead and try and name their wide receivers, Lummy. Without
I know that they have a good tight end.
Yes, they have one of the best one of the top 3 tight ends in the league, Mark Andrew.
Is Steve Smith Senior still there?
No.
Anquan Bolden.
No.
I have no fucking clue who else is on their wide receiver roster.
Marquise Brown was. No, their number 1 wideout at this moment in time, as we sit here today. Their top receiver is Rashad Bateman.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's second year player out of Minnesota. Then they have the incomparable Devin Duvernay, Jalen Moore, James Prochet II, and Benjamin Victor.
Oh yeah, Benjamin Victor.
And
he's from Ohio State.
He is.
He had some good stats last year. I don't think he played. Yeah.
And then of course, who could forget Tylan Wallace?
Well, I mean, maybe they'll sign.
No, Tylan Wallace they did sign as
maybe they'll sign Landry.
Maybe. There's word on the street is he's considering going back to Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's pretty. I would go back to Cleveland with the quarterback they have.
Yeah, well, if I have to choose between having the ball thrown to me occasionally by Lamar Jackson or often by Deshaun Watson.
Though don't forget, according to Little Purple, Tyler Huntley is the next big thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I think you missed that.
He's a great backup, right?
Yeah, he's a good backup. I mean, he had flashes of, being a above average quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I just don't get it. I don't get, if you're the Ravens. First of all, if you're grading the draft, okay, how can you not look at wide receiver as a position of need for this team? I don't care that you have Mark Andrews. You know why Kelsey was so good in fucking Kansas City?
Because he had wide receivers?
They had dynamic threats on the outside, okay? Marquise Brown stretched the field for you. Now what are you going to do? Who's that guy? I mean, Devin Duvernay, maybe.
Rogers Dawson said Julio Jones or Deebo Samuel could be an option.
I mean, do you really think Deebo wants to go to Baltimore?
No.
You think he wants to go from San Fran to Baltimore? From one, a team that doesn't really. But and here's the other thing for Deebo. Why does he want out? I don't get it. They are They turned him into a household name by utilizing him to the best of his abilities there.
And nothing's ever really come out why he wants to leave.
I don't get that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
We're going to take this one. I think it's USF Insider.
USFL.
Yeah, USFL Insider. But I also want to, there's Heather, spin instructor, wants to know what you thought about the draft, but the Giants draft.
Oh, I thought they did okay again. But we can get into that after we get our USFL update.
I'm not the USFL guy now. What's up, guys?
Oh, you have the same area
Lummy
code.
blew it. Hold on.
He has the same area code. Sorry.
Somebody else is calling. Is that the warm line?
No, that's not the warm line.
Oh.
We could hang up on Alan real quick and go to it, but
No.
Alan, how's it going, Alan?
What's up? Can we put a moratorium on people comparing any draft pick, whether it's a 6th-round pick or first-round pick, to Tom Brady?
Yeah, right. I mean, Brady's a once in a lifetime pickup where he got
listen,
drafted.
the Kansas State guy, he won a lot of big.
I'm very excited about Skylar Thompson and his 8-inch hands. He makes my hands seem big. And
well, I know that when they put it up on the draft, everybody puts a comp on the high end and the low end, but I think you should just throw Tom Brady out. No one gets compared to him.
I think that's a fair point, and you wouldn't hear it on this show because we don't use crutches like that.
No, I'm trying to find who is another quarterback in the 6th, 7th round that started. That's decent.
Started and is decent is a whole lot different than the greatest of all fucking time.
But that's what I'm saying. Can we find one of those guys and say that's who it is?
Yeah.
Because I mean, who was a 6th, 7th round quarterback that actually played?
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know. Was he?
No, I don't think he was that low.
Was he 5th?
So Brian, on the picking the guy versus
7. Oh fuck, he was 7th round.
Look at Matroni with the sports
There we
knowledge.
go. All right, listen, Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you want to compare him to anybody, he's going to be the next Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That's a much more realistic, fair.
And by the way, that guy loved Ryan Fitzpatrick.
he loved him. You just did it. That's perfect.
There we go.
Yep. So what were you going to say, Alan?
Oh, so I've heard that sometimes teams jump up because, like, I know later in rounds as players start to fall, they kind of prefer to not be drafted because then sometimes a player that's not drafted can get a larger signing bonus when other teams are trying to get him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they can
slot it into the 6th round.
And they can get into a better position for them to have a chance to start. You get onto a team that's loaded at tight end and they just want an insurance policy tight end, so they draft you and then you're one of the first cuts and you don't get to catch on with any other team, you kind of get fucked.
Or by the time you do, everyone's already comfortable, you're coming in week 2, 3, 4 and you're fucked.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would if I had a choice between being drafted in the 7th round or signing as an undrafted free agent, I'm taking the UDFA route because you got just as good of a chance of making the roster if you go out there and impress. I will say if a team uses draft capital on you, you're unlikely to be immediately cut. You're probably 2nd round of cuts.
Or to the end, at least with the 6th, 7th, you'll probably make it to the end of training camp.
Yeah.
Unless you just come out looking like complete
so
dog
you
shit.
get more of a chance to show yourself. But yeah, no, I'm with you. If you're like the 260th pick or an undrafted free agent, you can control your destiny as a UDFA.
Yeah, you're kind of like going through college recruiting at that point. So.
Yeah, and you can find a position that works for you. But very good point on that.
Yes, thank you, Alan.
All right, have a good show, guys.
You too, Alan.
So somebody wanted to know about the New York Giants.
Heather, spin instructor.
I thought they did well. The Thibodeau pick, I think, was okay. He's a good edge rusher. Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Well, you can't go too wrong with that pick there. You need to definitely beef up that offensive line. Yeah. So again, this is looking at their positions of need and how they went about addressing it. The number one need was an offensive lineman, a tackle, and they went out there and got one of the best ones available. Then they needed a linebacker. They got Thibodeau off the edge, and then Micah McFadden. Kind of but it's one of those early 5th round guys that can provide you some depth and what you need to have to compete. They addressed the tight end position with Daniel Bellinger. Again, he was a litany of these. I would call them crapshoot tight ends. I don't think any of them are going to come out of this draft and be superstars. I don't think we'll see a top 5 tight end emerge from this year's lot. But a lot of these guys could be solid second tier, if we're talking about it in fantasy perspectives, 8 through 15 type guys. And so they took a shot on that. So good job by the Giants addressing their needs.
What would you grade them? Because a lot of places have them with an A.
Yeah, I'd say B+ overall, based upon and again, when you're saying a lot of places they had a ton of draft capital, right?
Yes, they did.
When you're picking
8 picks, I believe.
2, 4, 6, 8. Well, they ended up with 11.
Oh fuck! Did they? Oh,
yeah.
they do. Okay.
They may have traded back and done some things, but they picked 5 of the first 81 guys.
Pretty good.
So that's that definitely will improve them. I will say the Wan'Dale Robinson, you better hope he's a great slot type receiver. He's undersized. I think there were better receivers available at that time, but whatever. It may work out. They may see something in him. But 5'8", 178. Show me those Hall of Famers in the NFL at that position, and it's not like he's a burner. 4.44 is good,
not that good,
but
that small.
I will get into now the steal of the draft, the absolute home run pick of all home run picks. We're able to get better, didn't reach, waited, and Christian Watson, the second round, number 2 pick that Green Bay traded up to get after shockingly not picking a receiver with the 22nd or 28th pick or even trading up to get one. But my hat's off to him because I think Christian Watson has the highest ceiling out of any wide receiver in this year's draft.
He ran a nice 4.40.
This guy is a specimen. Father was an NFL player. 6'5", 230.
230. Yeah, he's like 230.
6'5",
I think he said 234.
6'5", 235, 4.3-ish speed. He's got to work on his hands. Granted, he was a FCS player at North Dakota State, but this kid can play football.
But isn't that what they said about what was his name?
MVS?
Yeah.
MVS was never... I'm a huge USF fan and follow them. He was never going to be an NFL number 1. And first of all, he was a third-round pick, I believe.
No, I meant just being a burner. He came up and struggled with hands.
So, yeah, hands were a problem for him, but also route running. MVS was never a precise route runner. He was a throw-and-go type of guy, right? So Quentin Flowers was able to just chuck it up downfield 50 yards, and MVS would go up and get it.
And that's the nice part.
It's a great strategy to have in college.
Yeah.
Because MVS, there weren't safeties keeping up with him. There weren't corners keeping up with him. The safeties had to draw in because Quentin could run. No, Christian Watson is a far more complete receiver than MVS. He has the potential to be a legitimate number 1 in the National Football League. They had a need, and they immediately addressed it. They also doubled up with Romeo Doubs, the kid out of Nevada, another solid wide receiver pickup. So they had a glaring hole, and they filled it. And they filled it without reaching. That's why I take my hat off to Green Bay, because they didn't trade. They didn't panic and trade up. They addressed the defensive side of the ball with 2 absolute fucking studs. Devontae Wyatt was talked about, possibly going in the early 20s. They got him at 28. And then Quay Walker, you've got a guy who was one of the leaders on Georgia's defense, and you get him at 22.
Yep.
You don't have to move up to get the wideout. You get the guy you want. I mean, show me a guy physically in this entire draft who is more impressive than Christian Watson. There isn't one. That's the answer on this. So as difficult and tough as I can be on Green Bay at times, and this is, to me, they nailed it. They nailed it with those picks. They got better where they needed to, and they will have a real chance to compete in the NFC again this year, I think, if there is a risk there, Christian Watson pans out.
Well, from one wide receiver team to another, 4-4-3.
What's happening, guys? I wanted to talk the NBA playoffs for you.
Yeah? What's happening? Is Giannis lighting it up for Milwaukee?
I don't know. I don't fucking watch that. The draft, the Ravens. What do you guys think?
Well, we just talked about
We talked about it already, but we thought they did well. The problem for them is, your wide receiver room is horse shit.
We'd love to hear your take on that one.
You trade away Marquise Brown and then you don't replace him? I don't get it.
I don't think. Well, so I think
blah blah.
He's making excuses.
Yeah,
right now,
he's
Brian.
got nothing prepared.
Remember
he's got nothing prepared.
His team wasn't fit.
Well,
his team sucked because they were all injured.
You see, great job. Look, you addressed the secondary. Secondary is probably the best in the league. Okay, I'll give you that. You drafted more tight ends because you guys know what you're doing there.
You cannot historically draft wide receivers. That's why we stayed away from it. I think we are going to pick up Jarvis Landry or OBJ, and we'll see how that pans out.
So your entire season, your entire hopes for the 2022 football season rest with hoping that one of the two viable free agents remaining will come to your team.
Okay,
Don't forget Julio Jones, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Julio Jones.
Passing stats. What were our passing stats in 2019? Where did the ball go? It went
way back.
At the fullback. It went to Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst, and the running backs. And Lamar Jackson was running the ball and throwing the ball to them. 2019, we had the best offense in the league, arguably, and we didn't need any wideouts. Who did we have that year?
I don't know. We got to go all the way back to 2019.
The league has adjusted to Lamar Jackson. The jig is up. He has to be able to throw the ball. You're not going to win shit if you don't get another wide receiver. Mark my words. The Ravens will not be a playoff team if they don't get another wideout.
Brian, can I just tell him who his wide receivers were? He had Willie Snead.
Who?
Willie Snead.
No, I mean, it's decent.
Chris Moore.
Was this the 2019 roster?
Yes.
Okay.
Marquise Brown.
Well,
you were proving my point. Marquise Brown was, I think, a rookie that year.
He was a rookie that year.
Nick Boyle.
No, they had. He's right. They had shit wide receivers.
Miles Boyd. Yeah, but that was 2019.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, where Lamar Jackson won the MVP, and we shit the bed in the playoffs.
Because you didn't have a fucking wide receiver. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to is the goal just to make the playoffs, or is it to try and win championships? Because if you're just going to try and make the playoffs, your defense is definitely good enough to do that. You'll make the playoffs, and then guess what's going to happen? You're going to get fucking curb stomped in the first round of the playoffs because you don't have a number one wideout on your roster.
Brian, this is going to be a hot take right now. Take Mark Andrews as your number one fantasy tight end because that guy's going to have 200 targets.
Well, he's going to have to. He's going to have to.
He's going to have all the targets and all the touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark Andrews is the number one tight end in the league now. Look,
that is not a take.
I give the Ravens credit they got great value in the draft. Their first 3 picks were home runs. All that credit in the world. Doesn't change the fact that you don't have a fucking wide receiver in a league that requires you to have 2, and you don't have any. You have a guy who might be good enough to be a number 2 as your number 1 at this moment.
Well, that's all Marquise Brown was as well.
No, Marquise Brown was a number 2 who. No, you're right. You had 2 2s at least.
Yeah, but you don't have. You don't even have Marquise Brown.
Hold on. And how did your season end? What'd you guys do in the playoffs?
Because he was hurt. We were number 1 in the AFC. Lamar Jackson gets hurt. We lose 6 straight, miss the playoffs. Yippee.
Because you had no wide receivers for your backup quarterback to throw to.
Who had to run around the whole time.
Yeah.
Didn't have either of our starting running backs all season. Lamar Jackson took us 8-3 when he was playing.
Hold on.
And then
Little Purple, but now you're saying is that he did that with with at least a Marquise Brown, and now he doesn't even have that.
Yeah.
So you got Rashad Bateman.
Jason's cousin.
Rashad Bateman is going to be very close to a number 1 receiver.
No, he will not. He will be a number 2, and you do not have a number 1. You know this in your heart of hearts, and you know that in this NFL, if you don't have a number 1 wide receiver, you have 0.0 chance of winning it all, which is all that it's all about. And the window's closing. Lamar will be gone after this season. And the Ravens will flounder in obscurity.
Just like the Bucs when Tom Brady retires again?
We'll see, probably, but at least the Bucs still have a number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, and we have a Super Bowl championship in the last 5 years.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll end on that note. Congrats to us, Lummy.
Thank you,
Congrats
Little
to
Purple.
us. You know, he's angry. His last place team finished dead last in their division in the NFC North.
AFC North.
Sorry.
It was very
AFC
difficult.
North.
They had a lot of injuries, by the way,
Yeah, so
Brian.
many injuries. You know, they beat the Chiefs early in the season, who had nobody, right? Then I'm looking
Raiders.
I'm looking for those wins over quality teams. Colts
were quality. Actually, that's when they started out slow.
No, they weren't.
Yeah,
I mean, where are the victories over playoff teams? Where are the victories? The Chiefs. And the Chiefs stumbled out of the gate. Okay? So tell me, show me, what playoff teams did they beat last year, Lummy? I mean, while Lamar Jackson was leading them to an 8-3 record, what were the playoff teams that he beat? 0?
The Bears didn't make the playoffs.
No, they beat the Chiefs. That was it. 36-35 when the Chiefs were playing like dog shit to start the year. That's it. Don't try and bust me up with your big 2-point victory at the Lions. Come on.
That was early on.
Yeah, that's when Lamar was playing. He said, they were 8-3 under Lamar. Yeah, and they played the fucking weakest schedule you've ever seen in your life. They start playing teams with a pulse and they lose. Now, they played more defensive, close-knit games because they had to change their strategy. Maybe if they had a number one wide receiver, Marquise Brown was a number 2, maybe if they had a legitimate number 1 wide receiver, they might have been able to compete. But go get another corner and another safety and another tight end. And don't worry about that wide receiver position. I bet this fad of needing 3 wideouts in the NFL is going to end very soon.
No, Brian, what it's going to happen is that they're going to need 3 tight ends.
Yeah. They're going to be running 3 tight end sets.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And they're just going to dump it off to Andrews, and Lamar Jackson's going to be so happy he's going to sign a 10-year contract with the Ravens and stay.
Yeah.
Or he's going to be out of there.
Oh, every quarterback likes to be in a lame duck season. So that, especially a running quarterback who's 1 injury away from not having any contract waiting for him, or having losing 2 years guaranteed off his contract. The fact that he has not signed is such a gigantic red flag. Such a tremendously large red flag. I'm very nervous if I'm a Ravens fan.
Listen,
that's why Little Purple was yelling so much, because he's nervous as shit. He knows they have no wideouts. If you have no wideouts, you have no chance in this NFL.
But he did say defense still wins championships.
Last I checked, it helps. It helps. Okay, you do have to be a complete team still, and they've got that side of the ball. Okay, I'll grant you that. But where are the 26 to 28 points a game you're going to need to score to win in the NFL coming from with that lineup?
Wait, Brian, is this not 2001 with Trent Dilfer and the Baltimore Ravens defense winning it all?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not the same league?
It's not the same league. No, we're 2 decades removed from that.
Well, listen, they got a good defense.
They do.
They got no wide receivers and 1 tight end.
They've got a team that looks destined to go 11-6 and get bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Who's their running back this year?
They've got all the running backs. They've got all the running backs that are unproven or injured last year and didn't do shit.
Devontae Freeman's still on there?
No, they've got all. Now I will say this: they have a rookie, a 1-year, a 2-year, a 3-year, a 4-year, and a 5-year running back in their running back room. They have 1 from each draft class, so they've got that. They've got the running back situation. Look, the NFL running backs mean very little, especially when you have a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. But they've got Dobbins, they've got Edwards, they've got Hill, they got the Tyson Williams guy. They've got guys who can play. They don't have an elite running back in that backfield, but they have decent enough running backs. That's not their problem. I'm not on them for not improving at the running back position. I'm on them because they have probably the most now, as it stands at this moment, maybe the most pathetic wide receiver room in the NFL.
You don't think they maybe should have used one of those 4th-round picks instead of drafting a punter to maybe grab a wide receiver?
Well, no, because they're going to be playing a lot of field position battles without a wide receiver to throw to.
So they want to get their defense in the best position?
That's
is that what
it.
You're saying?
Your strategy is to win a lot of 13 to 10 games this season.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
And field position makes the difference in that scenario.
What did you think of the Cleveland Browns, even though they didn't have many draft picks? What did you think of their draft?
I really haven't looked at what they did, quite honestly. I'm not. The Browns are completely irrelevant until we know Deshaun Watson isn't going to miss any games. and then they'll be relevant. Look, they're one of those teams. When you don't pick until number 68, like, of course your draft isn't going to look great. I mean, they had a lot of late picks. I'll tell you, Jerome Ford, round 5, pick 13 out of Cincinnati is a great fucking pick.
He's a good running back.
Awesome running back. Awesome. I don't understand this new fascination with picking up specialist guys in the 4th round.
That looked like they did a big run on the 4th round.
Like they went with the place kicker. I don't, draft. Come on. You get those. You can get great kids who can play and do almost as good. Like, that's the thing, is like the difference between getting a decent running back or wide receiver in the 4th or 5th round and getting one as an undrafted free agent is that's a pretty substantial gap. But kicker and punter, there's not a huge difference there.
Well, do you remember
for the most part?
Well, I mean, most of the time, the special teamers, the kickers, and the punters were always probably either the 7th or picked up in the free agency.
This new 4th round thing started to happen in the last few years.
Yeah, well, the Bucs have been not too good with.
Well, the Bucs made the Aguayo pick was terrible, but horrible. I mean, the Janikowski pick. People got on the Raiders about that, but he had value for them at least.
Well, didn't they also pick their punter in the 1st round or 2nd round?
Yeah, they went with that route. But they had them both. At least they had them both for like their whole careers.
Yeah, like 20 years, and they were studs.
You got value out of that. Now, it may not have been the same amount of value all at once that you get out of a stud tight end or a quarterback or offensive lineman, but they got value out of those picks. They were not as terrible as they seemed at the time. But looking at further at Cleveland here, they've got some decent guys that they picked up. It's tough when you're in the middle of the pack and picking those guys up. The Mike Woods out of Oklahoma is a decent pick. I like him better than Wan'Dale Robinson. Quite honestly, I just think Robinson doesn't really have a place in this league at his height and size. Mike Woods will be a fourth guy, but he has potential at least.
Yeah, I
don't mind that pick. A late pick like that, I like, and a kid who played at a school that throws the ball around. Always you see these great wideouts, these slot guys come from schools like Texas Tech, and
they just throw 5 wide.
Where these guys are out there running routes, very precise routes, all day long. So give me one of those June Jones guys. I like it.
Another one I want to is the Bengals. A lot of people they said they had a good draft, but they're kind of questioning if you think they could be back in the playoffs next year. I mean,
do I think they could be back in the playoffs?
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to question it, like if it was just a one and done. I don't know why.
I don't think they're a flash in the pan team. I think they're young. If as long as everybody continues to get better, as long as they don't become complacent, I think that they're set. They're set to compete. They improved at offensive line,
and they covered their one big thing was their defensive backs.
Right, they were getting torched, but they improved the offensive line in free agency, right?
And still our guy.
Yeah, but they got better at that position.
Sure did.
And then they shored up their secondary. 3 of their first 5 picks were secondary guys. So they've addressed their problems, and we'll see how it all pans out. These you're counting on 2nd and 3rd and 4th rounders to perform for you.
There was another one I was going to ask you, but I can't think of it. I want to see. Did you see the Europe games now? They released some today.
Yeah, the Bucs are playing the Seahawks in Germany.
Yeah. What's your feelings on the Germany game?
I like our odds against the fucking Seahawks.
I love our odds against. I love our odds about that. But what's your feeling on them just now? Now Germany, they're going to go into Wembley.
It's money. That I don't blame them. I don't blame Jacksonville for signing a 3-year contract with the NFL to be guaranteed a game in London through 2024. You get money over there, and I don't have a problem with them growing the sport internationally. They added the extra game, so the Bucs are losing a home game, but they're not really because they still have 8. So
yeah, but you don't think that really takes a beating on those teams that got to travel over there?
No, because
back?
they time it with their bye week.
I know, but still,
So no, I
it
don't.
seems like sometimes they don't really bounce back as much. But maybe because they're sending a lot of shitty teams over there. But it just seems like
they're not. I mean, historically they've given shitty teams to that, but they're trying to step it up. They're trying to get them some better matchups. I mean, this marks the first time the Packers have ever been sent overseas. They were the last team in the NFL to not play internationally. And they're finally going to do that this season.
Do you predict there's going to be an NFL team in Europe in the next 5 years?
It's so tough to do, and the only way I could really see it working would be if they literally played all their home games in a row, or at least like a month at a time. So go like 4-4-4-4, and they would have to have some sort of home base in the United States. So they would have to have, obviously a facility here where they could practice on the weeks that they're not traveling back and forth.
You don't think they would do what Stu tried to do? Split between the two?
I think that's a bad idea.
I think it's a horrible
for
idea.
For the NFL, well, and I'll tell you, it works in baseball a little bit better because they have the volume of games, right? You've still got 81 games, so 40 plus home games.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you've only got 8 or 9 home games a season, and so you can't afford to be giving away half of those and maintain fan interest. So no, I don't agree with a split season plan for an NFL team in Europe. I wouldn't mind seeing. It would be somewhat interesting. What it does too is it opens up the TV window right into the 9:30, and that's what the NFL likes because now you're literally getting an extra window for games. And so it makes the TV contract more attractive. I think you probably would have 2 teams out there, and I think they'd probably would be looking at a Germany and a London team.
So you think they would want to put 2 out there if they were going to put at least 1? You say they want to put 2?
I think they probably would. I think they're starting to test the German market again to see if it would. They know that London will. They know that they can field a successful team there. The question is, would you have another one? And I think the ultimate question is, could you get to 4? Could you get enough to support an entire division?
Oh man! Oh yeah! I mean, I guess that would make more sense.
It would make a lot more sense
because obviously,
half your games are divisional, and so you don't have the travel issues.
And then you could even work it like you're saying, where you do that home and away, where those teams come out, play their, maybe a little more away.
Yeah, you
games.
do your divisional games. You break up, so you kind of break the season up into quarters. So you do 1 round of divisional games, right? Then you do 1 round where 2 of the teams would come over here and play 4 consecutive road games.
Yeah.
And then you would have the next 2 teams come over here, and then those 2 teams would go back and play their 4 consecutive home games.
Yeah.
The issue that you have from the NFL is what you do with the teams. You are penalizing the U.S.-based teams that have to travel over there and then travel back.
Would they make it, though, 2 bye weeks maybe?
You'd have to probably at that point add another bye week.
And then make it obviously 18 weeks, but 2 bye weeks, which I don't think the NFL players would probably scoff at an extra bye week.
No, I think you get down then to 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
And maybe just add a couple scrimmages, where they're not full-on games. But no, it's there. I think the way it works best is with 4 teams and having their own division. I just don't know that they have 4 markets that can support teams there at this stage.
Do you ever see one in Canada, in Toronto?
I could see one there potentially, and I could see one in Mexico City, and they're exploring that as well.
I remember the last game they tried to play in Mexico City. It was canceled.
Yeah, the turf. They're trying it again this year.
Are they?
It's I want to say it's San Fran and Arizona this year. But they're trying it again. I briefly read the article before the show.
You're right. It's Arizona, San Fran, November 21st, Monday night game.
Yeah.
In Mexico City.
The Bucs have never won internationally, by the way. 0-3 all time.
Oh.
Losing to, I believe, if I'm reading the article correctly in my head, New England, Carolina, and Atlanta.
I believe I watched that New England game in Mexico. That was with Ernest Graham when he blew out his knee, and the Bucs were looking pretty good. I think I was, 05?
Oh, they got destroyed that game, 35-7 or something like that.
Yeah, Ernest Graham and the Bucs were. I think they were started out like 2-3-1. Ernest Graham blew his knee out. I think they started 5-1. I think that was because I was in Mexico watching it, drinking a lot of whiskey at 9 a.m. or what was it 3? It was like 7 a.m. I think. Whew, it was a bad day.
Bad day?
Bad day.
Ooh, that was a Freudian slip.
Bad day.
It was a bad gay.
Bad day. I was not happy. But I did not know they were 0-3 there. Well, hopefully
they haven't done well across the pond.
Hopefully they can pull the nose up on Seattle. With Seattle though, what are they going to do for quarter? Where's Baker going?
Who cares?
Listen, there was a lot of speculation he was going to come to Tampa for a mid-round pick.
Nobody
the Browns were going to pick it.
Nobody wants
But why doesn't
him?
Seattle want him?
Because they know what a fucking loser he is. I've told you, John, why are we going to have this conversation every season about Baker Mayfield? Why did I tell you that the Browns weren't going to do jack shit last year?
Because of Baker Mayfield.
Because they had no leadership. Their locker room sucked. They have no winners on that team. And Baker Mayfield's the leader of that loser pack. And what happened to Cleveland?
They shit the bed.
They shit the bed. Exactly like we thought they would. They were who we thought they were. Now, they still technically finished ahead of Baltimore in the standings, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, Baltimore had a lot of injuries. You don't understand.
I do. I understand when the schedule got tough, they got the fuck going. Steelers, Browns, Packers, Bengals, Rams, Steelers to end the year. L.
Don't forget that overtime loss to possibly make the playoffs.
I can read the letter L.
Today's
letter is the letter L. This show's sponsored on Sesame Street by the letter L.
Well,
are they entering the season with the longest losing streak in the NFL?
I believe so.
I believe they may be.
Because Jacksonville took care of business against the Colts.
Yeah.
So I believe they are.
Or the Texans, they won one later in the year, right?
Yeah. The Texans actually weren't looking too bad toward the later of the year.
So the Baltimore Ravens have the longest active losing streak in the NFL.
Now, can you imagine if they start like 0-5?
Yeah, that'd be oof.
Little Purple will be eating his words here.
Oh man, and then Lamar definitely isn't re-signing.
Oh no, he probably requests a trade halfway through the year. Get out of that shithole town. Obviously, you're not. Obviously, I know you're not a Baker fan, but you see Seattle maybe going with a Drew Lock or that Georgia quarterback. I can't think of his name, but their backup last year.
Yeah, obviously they were not wowed
Jacob
by
Eason.
Yeah, they were not wowed by the crop of QBs in this draft. I think the biggest shock to me was Willis falling to the third round rather. I think that was probably, to me, what I didn't see. I thought teams would get more desperate, and they never did.
Well, what do you see in your comments on the Tannehill with him coming out saying, I'm not going to...
That's a terrible fucking leader there. I don't like it. They asked if he was going to mentor, for those who don't know, they asked Ryan Tannehill if he was going to mentor Malik Willis, and he said that's not what he's here to do. If the kid happens to learn some stuff from me along the way, that's fine. I understand why Tannehill's worried, because it would make sense for Tennessee to part ways with him after this season.
Makes too much money this year, but yeah.
So next year it's only $18.8 million in dead cap versus I think a $36 million full on cap hit. So or 25 million, something like that. It's a pretty big difference, big enough to justify cutting him if you think Willis can help you win. Now you're coming off a disappointing season for Tannehill. Granted, Brown was injured. Henry was injured. Julio Jones was Julio Jones. So they didn't have, they could use the same excuses that Baltimore would, but they are not losers, so they're not going to do that in Tennessee.
Well, Tannehill also went to therapy after the playoffs.
Well, and he
went through a lot of. He said he was in a dark space after that playoff loss.
Yeah, well, at least they made the playoffs. They had all those injuries and they still made the playoffs.
Well, that is true.
My hat's off to the Titans because they still won 12 games and they didn't use all the injuries as an excuse.
True,
because they're winners. They're not losers.
100%. How about this one? What did you think of that AJ Brown trade?
I like it.
Titans?
I like it
for the Eagles.
First of all, the Eagles fired their entire scouting department. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that tells you all you need to know about the Eagles draft when they're like, yeah, let's just trade for somebody because we don't trust a single motherfucker who's working for us right now. I think it could be good for the here's the thing.
I know what you're saying. The Titans, they drafted their replacement, and that rookie wide receiver is going to be good.
But he's not going to be A.J. Brown out of the gate. That's number one. And so you've already blew it with Julio. Then you unload Brown. Now you've got if you're Tennessee and you're sitting there looking at this and you're thinking, are they kind of in an early rebuild? Are they preparing to cut Tannehill? And then
what are you thinking when you're Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, you've only got
arguably
a couple of good years. I mean, you're running back. You could be one of those running backs, the Adrian Peterson type, that those once a generation guys that plays your whole career. But if you're Tennessee, what are you thinking, Lummy?
Well, I mean, at this point right now, it looks like they want to get away from Tannehill. They're not sold on him. I do like that rookie, the wide receiver that they did bring in, but he has no A.J. Brown. They were set up. They were the number one team coming out of there in the AFC. They did have they lost 19-16 to the Bengals. After all those losses, they finished 12-4. I think that if they would have stayed the course this year, I feel the Titans would still be probably one of the best teams in the AFC. Now you got a rookie wide receiver. You kind of have an unhappy number one quarterback who's already saying he's going to therapy because he's in a dark place. Derrick Henry, yeah, he's recovered from an injury, but is this a sign that Derrick Henry might be, going to maybe 4 or 5 games next year again? You know what I mean? Julio Jones is gone. I think they'll make the playoffs, and I think if they don't advance, Tannehill's gone. And it's almost like it's a minor rebuild.
They're one of the better defenses in the AFC, so they've got that going for them. They also have going that they happen to play in the AFC South. So,
but yeah, the Colts. I mean, the Colts are going to be
Matt
good.
Ryan. We'll see. But Houston ain't going to do shit.
No,
and
but
Jacksonville ain't going to do shit.
No, but the Colts have a really good offensive line, and Matt Ryan hasn't had an offensive line, I don't think, in his career.
No, and he's got some weapons. He's got some weapons there to use.
I think
Taylor and Pittman Jr.
I think Pittman's going to be really good this year.
I think he's was supposed to be the breakout guy this year. I think that this is truly the year that he's a breakout guy. But yeah, I mean it's they're still win their division, Tennessee, just based upon their defense and Derrick Henry alone.
They're going to battle with the Colts. The Titans will probably come out. The problem is that Tannehill is probably gone after this season unless he just puts up ridiculous numbers.
I will say this: the Titans are giving Baltimore a run for the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. The difference, though, is that they have Derrick Henry,
yes,
and nobody else does. So that's, to me, the difference maker. But the Titans' wide receiver room is.
But if he goes down, I mean, then they're just,
to use a word, underwhelming. It's pretty bad. I mean, they have no real proven wideouts on their team.
I'm pulling up their roster now.
It ain't pretty.
It's pretty bad.
It's ugly. I mean, Robert Woods now is probably their best wide receiver, and he's coming off of 2 injury years in a row.
Yeah. I mean, but
the Westbrook Akini guy is not bad, but he's also not. I mean, he's a number 3 at best, right?
You don't think Robert? How bad was that? What did he have? He tore his knee.
Yeah, he fucked himself up pretty good. I forget exactly what his injury was, but I want to say he's missed chunks of the last 2 of the last 3 years. I want to say. Let's see.
I was trying to find.
He played 9 games last year. No, it was 17. He only played 12 games.
All right, so that's not too bad.
No, I thought it was more recent, but it was 2017 was the last time he was injured. But he's only gone over 1,000 yards once in his career.
Yeah, but you got to think he was also getting passes thrown to him from Jared Goff.
Yeah, that's true, and he had Cooper Kupp gobbling up a lot on the other side. Oh no, I'm sorry, he missed the entire 2019 season with injury.
Oh.
So I was right. He only played half the year last year, missed all of 19. So he had 20 where he was fully healthy. So it's been since his best season in 2018 when he was last really, truly a legitimate number 1A, 1B type guy. And now, he's 3 years removed from that. He's missed a total of 24 games in 3 seasons.
I'm looking at their wide receivers. Oof.
Yeah, it's not pretty. If Robert Woods has anything left in the tank,
he'll be a good number 1 for that team with the other young players they have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's not too good. Adrian Peterson's up. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see on that one. Knowing the AAC, I thought Atlanta did a pretty good job picking up that Cincinnati quarterback.
Desmond Ridder is a perfect complement to Marcus Mariota. So if you're looking, the problem for Willis is what is he actually going to learn from Tannehill? Because they're 2 totally different fucking quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to thrive in the system that they currently have and that they're currently running in Tennessee, whereas Desmond Ridder will absolutely thrive learning behind Marcus Mariota. They're almost the same quarterback.
It's too bad that Tyrod Taylor's now on the Giants because Tyrod Taylor would be a perfect quarterback for Malik Willis to learn under. Yeah,
well, it's too bad Tyrod Taylor's not good enough to start, but yeah.
Well, every time he gets to start, he either breaks a rib, blows a leg out, has a doctor shove something into his lungs or whatever.
That's a sign about a quarterback that he's just not the guy, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't think so? Is Denny Dimes going to start over Tyrod Taylor for the Giants?
Absolutely. They believe in him still. They wouldn't have picked up his option, right? No, they went out and got the offensive line. Look, you can't. Part of it's on Danny Dimes, but Barkley's proven to be a paper tiger. Evan Engram never panned out. They had wide receiver injuries out the ass last season. The Giants, they're not going to be good. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be good, but Daniel Jones deserves one more season to try and not suck.
I don't know if I see that really happening though.
You don't think he's going to start this year?
No. Being good. You said he has one more season to be good.
To show that he can, be a competent NFL quarterback.
I don't see that happening. I think the Giants are going to be drafting a quarterback next season.
But here's the thing. If you're the Giants, you either want to lose with Jones or find out that he's good enough, right? You can't go and roll a Tyrod Taylor out there and win 4 or 5 games again. You would rather go out there and die with Jones or win with him. One way or the other.
Which I'm trying to think who's the big quarterbacks coming up next year. This year's quarterback draft was just horrible.
Well, when you only have one guy taken in the first 2 rounds, it's a terrible draft class. Historically bad.
The North Carolina kid.
Sam Howell?
Yeah.
He's the one who I think is the most value. He went in the 5th round, right? First pick of the 5th round. I think he's the best value in terms of all of them. Although Willis could be, Willis is going to be a boom or bust type of guy. He could be the Lamar Jackson of this draft, or he could be
RG3.
The RG. Well, his career got derailed because Shanahan's a cocksucker. Am I allowed to say that?
I don't know. Well, say he sucks.
Okay. Shanahan was a shitty head coach. But yeah, Sam Howell, pick 5. The problem for him is he went to Washington, and that's where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah, I think you said that last week.
Yeah.
And that was before they drafted Sam Howell.
Yeah.
That guy had a huge arm. He was projected to be in the Heisman race.
Well, he's not the most accurate thrower. He's more of a gunslinging type. His measurables aren't quite there. He's a little bit undersized. He does play with moxie, so his moxie's off the scale. But no, I don't see a guy in this draft class that you look at. I will say this. I don't blame Pittsburgh for taking Pickett when they did and how they did, because he definitely has the highest floor out of any quarterback in this draft. He'll be at least mediocre. You can't even say that about the other guys.
You want to compare him to like a Jeff George?
No, I don't want to compare him to anybody.
Come on, we got to compare him to somebody.
No, I'm going to just say that but he has small hands too. for a quarterback. And
I think every quarterback in this draft had a small hands, which has this been I've never really heard the hands thing being that big of a deal though.
Oh, that matters to NFL teams
now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember just the height thing with the Drew Brees being short to the Russell Wilson being short.
The gripping of the football, and see, that's Matt Corral is the most prototypical size quarterback, 9 5/8 inch versus, Kenny Pickett, 8.5 inches. You don't think an inch and a half in terms of hand spread, hand width makes a difference?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because obviously the NFL ball is totally different
than the college
ball.
You're going to see a lot of fumbles out of this quarterback class.
From Kenny Pickett?
A lot of strip sacks. Oh, yeah. I mean, if his hand is really only 8.5 inches, I mean, that
just seems too small.
That's what I'm saying, Lummy.
No, but I'm saying that just like all these quarterbacks that are coming out that,
No, Matt Corral's 9 5/8. I mean.
Where did he go? I was looking up average quarterback hands.
Average quarterback hands.
Yeah.
He went to Carolina. He's the heir apparent to Sam Darnold there. He will get to compete day one for the starting job.
Oh yeah, Sam Darnold. I think they hate that. I mean, they hate that guy. Whoa.
What?
9 7/10?
Yeah, buddy. I'm telling you. What do you think? I was kidding?
No. I trust me. I just didn't know it was that big. Everyone said their hands were so small. And
Tom Brady was almost 9.5, 9.4 inches.
Tom Brady's got 9.5 inch hands.
Yeah, but that'd be like the second biggest in this year's quarterback draft class.
Because it's like the average, wow, and first round picks, smallest to biggest. Wow, I'm kind of blown away right now. Taysom Hill had the smallest of starting quarterbacks last year, 8 3/4. Isn't he a tight end? Was he a tight end?
Essentially, but so get this: he was 8 3/4. Pickett's 8.5. He's 8.5.
Aaron Rodgers is 10 and an eighth. Man, can you imagine how big his
hog is?
Yeah.
But Pickett, 8.5. He's got Burger King hands.
Yeah, he would be the smallest. Wow.
That's what I'm saying. He's to me, that's almost disqualified.
But see, like you look at Joe Burrow. I know that. I think I remember hearing.
I'm gonna say
about
9 3/4.
9.
9, and that was considered small.
Yeah,
half inch bigger than Kenny Pickett.
But I mean, Joe Burrow can sling the rock.
No, he can. It's not the end all be all.
Well, like you said, like the fumbles, I totally get that.
But it's not the end all be all. But if you're if you're looking at these guys and you're like, are you going to be a franchise quarterback? Generally speaking.
All right, let's go real quick. I know you got to leave at
within about 5 minutes or so.
So if you look at quarterbacks with the big, say Russell Wilson, you would call a franchise quarterback.
I mean, I don't know how good he is, but
he's the biggest though.
But yeah, he's up there. I mean, he's gone to a Super Bowl, right?
And won it.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert. Now Trevor Lawrence, we don't know yet. Carson Wentz. Oh, Tua's got a 10. All right, we're fading off here. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but with that, the start of that list, it was almost like you're listing off the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, Sam Darnold and Tom Brady have the same. Zach Wilson. So yeah, I mean, the only one that obviously I don't see being a franchise quarterback is Tua. I'm still questioning Jalen Hurts. What's your opinion on Jalen Hurts?
He ain't it. Here's you're disqualified if you played quarterback for Alabama at any point in time.
Even Mac Jones? I mean, he's really
even him.
You don't like Mac Jones?
Show me something this year. Actually, put him in a position where he has to win games, and let's see how he does. Alabama quarterbacks, there have not been a decent one since Joe Namath.
I got to look this up real quick.
We've done this exercise before, dude.
But I think I named one other guy.
That was like marginally average, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they have one.
Kenny Stabler.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. That's the other one.
Bart Starr.
Well, Bart Starr was before Namath.
I was just naming their quarterbacks that were actually pretty good.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that, buddy.
Well, okay, we got Kenny Stabler.
Okay, that's it. Let's look at the last 40 years. Let's go 42 years since 1980. Roll that beautiful footage. You ready for this? Don Jacobs, Ken Coley, Alan Gray, Walter Lewis, Mike Shula.
Mike Shula?
Not in the NFL?
No.
As a coach or a quarterback? Vince Sutton, Jeff Dunn, David Smith, Gary Hollingsworth, Danny Woodson, Jay Barker, Brian Bergdorf, Freddie Kitchens, Lance Tucker, John David Phillips, Andrew Zhao, Tyler Watts, Brandon Avalos, Spencer Pennington, Mark Guion, Brody Coyle, John Parker Wilson, Greg McElroy, AJ McCarron, Blake Sims, Jake Coker, Cooper Bateman, Blake Barnett, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, and now he's Bryce Young as their starter. Can you fucking believe that that's the list of Alabama starting quarterbacks in the last 42 years?
I mean, I heard
how many NFL wins are in there? I mean,
come on,
maybe
Brody Coyle.
There may be 15 NFL wins total between all those guys.
AJ McCarron,
not counting Tua.
Brody Coyle.
Yeah. Greg McElroy, the great Greg McElroy.
Butch Hobson,
drafted by the Jets, so you know he did well.
John Parker Wilson.
Yeah. He did great. Who got him? The Rams, was it?
The Falcons.
The Falcons?
Well, I know he played for the Falcons.
Yeah. No, you're right. He went undrafted, but played for the Falcons, Jaguars, and Steelers.
I mean, that's a pretty good, yeah, that's not the best. But, okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm not high on Tua. I'm not high on Jalen Hurts either. I just know that Jalen Hurts, both of those quarterbacks now have a ton of weapons around them.
I will say this. I don't think McElroy got a fair shake.
Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers his last 2 seasons were not terrible. He played 27 games. He completed 65% of his passes for 37 touchdowns versus 9 picks. And that's not tragic.
No, that's actually not. Who's that? That was the Bengals? No, the Bengals.
His hand span was 9 3/8 inches, by the way.
Oh, nice. Who was that with?
That was with the Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. That's another team. I mean,
no, I get it, but I'm saying, like, oh, I'm sorry. That was his college stats. I'm an idiot. Yeah, no, he sucked. He played in 2 games. He played in 2 games in the NFL.
You knew those stats. I'm like, wow, did he have some kind of injury? I started typing in this thing.
I was like,
going on?
I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, why the fuck did he not make it in the league? These are pretty good numbers. And then I see why. Yeah, because
it was his college stats.
Yeah, his NFL career consisted of 19 of 31 for 214 yards with a touchdown and a pick
in 2 games.
Yeah, in parts of 2 games.
Oh, that's even worse. I'd be like, that's not. You know what? If that was 1 game, that's not too bad of a game
for your first start. But yeah, he never made it. He never caught on. But no, I mean, isn't it shocking how terrible Alabama quarterback history is? Why would you even bother taking one of them?
Yeah, it points out that their wide receivers and running backs and offensive
and their head coach,
everyone. Yeah, their whole offense is just that good that they could plug in any bullshit artist and still win because their wide receivers are. They've had stud wide receivers in the league lately. Their running backs have been getting better.
Oh, they've had 2 wideouts picked in pretty much every draft for the last decade.
Yeah, in the top 10.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yes, Gardner Minshew he does need a real shot. That's what everyone's saying.
Well, if I'm Seattle, that's the one guy that I'd be looking to trade for. I would take who would you rather have, Minshew or Mayfield?
Minshew.
Yeah, and it's not even really close, is it?
No.
So why is there even talk about people trading for Baker Mayfield?
Because Gardner Minshew was not a sexy number 1 overall pick doing all-state commercials living in a stadium.
He can stay living in that stadium and eating the old cheese because nobody's taking him.
Listen, I mean, if he had any swagger, the best commercial would be him shooting the commercials actually like he's living outside the stadium in a tent. And he says, luckily I'm able to afford my All-State, but I'm looking for a job, and he's living outside the stadium now.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad of an idea.
That would be kind of funny. I mean, wouldn't you kind of give that up to him a little bit?
Yeah. Was it All-State or Progressive? Was it All-State?
Oh, fucking hell. It's one. I mean, you know what? You're probably right. It probably was Progressive.
I think it was Progressive.
Okay, well, you know what? They're blue and white logos. So.
Well, because Progressive's big in Ohio.
Is it?
Yeah, that's where they're headquartered in Cleveland.
Wasn't Progressive the one that has that lady?
Yeah, Flo.
Oh.
They got Flo and Baker.
Wow, what a real lineup there.
I mean,
Allstott got the guy from Major League Baseball. Serrano.
Huh?
Serrano. Major League Baseball, the movie?
Yeah.
Come on, Serrano.
Yeah. Anyways.
You got no marbles, Brian. Marbles. Marbles?
Anyways, that's our NFL draft recap show. What'd you think of it, Lummy?
I think it was amazing, Brian. Do you think the Lightning are going to do it tonight?
They better fucking do something. If they come out and look as listless as they did in Game 1 against Toronto, they might be staring at a sweep.
Don't say that. I know it's totally possible.
If they come out and lose by more than 2 goals in this game, it's going to be 4 or 5. This is going to be a very short postseason. I will say this: they look like a team that is tired.
They look tired. And Maple Leafs look like they came out. They knew they were tired, and they just pushed them around like the.
We will see how the Lightning respond. It's been 14 consecutive victories after losses. So if they can keep that trend going, I like their chances in the series. But if they lose tonight, oof. Especially if they now they can lose a 1-goal, tough game and still have a chance. But if they come out and get beat by 2 or more goals, they're like legit, not an empty netter at the end. Like get outplayed significantly. I don't see how they bounce back to win.
Nope, I agree with you, Brian, and we'll see what happens. And we are live tomorrow, twitch.tv/The Bubba Army. Get all your Bubba Army merch at BubbaArmyShop.com. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.